Hello, Matthew. How are you? How are you doing?
Hello, Tanya. I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm great, but sometimes I can be a little bit depressed because of the fact that I can't go out and, I can't see my friends. I mean, I can go out. I told you that I can, walk because I live in the countryside, but oh, the only solution for me is Zoom. So, can you tell me what did you do during the quarantine?
Well, luckily for me, I was able to still go to work because I work in a place that is considered by maybe in your country too as an essential. For example, like police and fire department and hospitals, those are places are essential. So they have to be always manned, always working. So my type of work is something that depends on the import of products. So the products and the ships always come, so someone needs to still check them. They can't be at the port and the tax there, so I need to check them. So I had a luck to still go and work, so not like
So you
others.
didn't spend your time at home?
No, I had a few days at the beginning of the quarantine when everything was shut down at first, but after that they started to release me to work, so we got back on tracks very fast.
So you didn't have any, negative emotions like me. You're a lucky person.
No, yeah, luckily. But on the other hand, I stopped going to school. I went to classes to my studies to prepare for my degree in the university. So everything was stopped, and we went to study in Zoom.
Yes, me too.
And personally, and I think like others, for instance, we have it very difficult because it's not like when you go to the class and be in the auditorium and see the lecture. It's kind of different because you're at home. It's kind of a bit lazy, but
And there is no
it's
so
unavoidable.
connection. There is no connection between you, your classmates, and your teacher, lecturer.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Do
And
you
also
like
there
Zoom?
was I like. I think it's a good solution. I think it's a good thing. It's how we able to adapt to the certain reality we're living.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what can you tell me about your education? You started telling me that you studied on Zoom and you didn't have this connection. But what did you study during this 4 months?
What
I
did I
mean,
study?
quarantine.
Well, what did I study? Well, it's part of my preliminary classes to the university is mainly economics, like macroeconomics and microeconomics, and also logistics and inventory. So it's something from the degree that I study, which is logistical technology, which we combine with being a manager of inventory and with technology like every S&P systems, which check all the items, inventory percentage, imports, out and exports. It's mainly management classes. Very
Mm-hmm.
basic, but very difficult because it's not my core studies that I went to college. It's very
Mm-hmm.
different.
Was it productive during the quarantine? I mean, did you learn something new or you were lazy, as you said?
No, because I kind of had this. As a student of someone who goes to university, and you a bit of a grown up, you have this responsibility. Be a grown up. You knew that even it's difficult, you need to study because you already paid the tuition. So if you fail, it's kind of shows that you really didn't care much, and feel like you're a sucker. Or in Hebrew, it's called the fire. Someone like someone who really doesn't do very well, and that's the kind of stuff.
So you don't like to give up?
Yeah, I'm kind of a stubborn person, so if I have something that really is on my mind, I push through and go until I finish the job or I get what I need.
I see. Well, actually, I'm very interested about quarantine in your country, as you see. And can you tell me, what did the government do for you during this time? Did it help?
It's yes and no. Well, the beginning of the quarantine, which we call the first wave, the government really quickly stopped everything, stopped the tourism, stopped all the air traffic, closed every non-essential business, and like put everybody on lockdown, which really hit everybody hard in their pockets. But on the other hand, they stopped the spreading of the virus. Really, the number of infected people really plummeted. So it was really good at the beginning because people aren't dying, people aren't getting sick. The hospitals are not filling up with patients. But on the other hand, it's like people really suffer because their businesses really took a hit. They get a lot of losses, and they knew that if most of them didn't prepare for that kind of outcome because not all of them have the financial support to get back up, and they really didn't quite know if the government will help them, even though the government did provide some financial support, like delaying all the taxes or all the what's it called, how much they pay for all the electricity, for their housing.
Taxes.
Yeah, but there are specific taxes. So yeah, but after that, after the numbers of the infected was really low, like even 10 people a day, which is very, very good. The businesses convinced and like threatened the government to release the quarantine so they can get back on track and maybe save their business. But this was quite a downfall because releasing the quarantine so fast, the number of infected rose. So we're kind of back to square one. It's like we took one step forward and 2 steps back.
I see.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what's going on right now in your country?
Now we're kind of debating about public places which are open, if they should be banned from gatherings, like the beaches or the public swimming pools or the gyms. And the government pushes to close them, but other people said, give us the statistics, we want to prove. Don't close stuff on a whim or because you feel like it. You show us the stats of how many are infected in the gyms, how many are infected in the beaches, how many infected in public swimming pools. They want some credible information so they can really know that the government doesn't do stuff because they feel like it or they think they know what they're doing. So they have been some difficult proving the information, the statistics. But there's some logic in, at least in gyms, because people are working out, people are like sweating, people are speeding. So even though you like open the ventilation or do all the stuff that's necessary, it being the problem with the gyms that it's kind of closed area most of the time. So it should be closed, but there's still a debate. There is also a statistics that more people are infected in homes because they're always in the house. Everybody infects everybody else, and mainly because of religious people or people with a lot of kids. So one comes home, infects everybody else, and that's why the number of infected goes up in homes. So it's more than good. Then people go out to the outdoors, so they won't come home and infect everybody else. So that's the reality we live in.
I see. You know, recently I watched a video that actually shocked me about Israel. I saw that you don't use mazgans right now. I mean, air conditioners. Yes, why? Can you tell me why?
Really? So I may have thought about it because the air conditioner takes all of the air from in the inside and then throws it out, or the other way around. So maybe it takes all of the virus and the particles in the air and then goes inside the air conditioner, even though that the air conditioner takes out the new air from the outside and cools it, it still goes through all the places inside the air conditioner that have this lingering virus particles, and it throws it out. I think that's the main reason, but it's not that that I've heard of it so much. There is talks of it, but it's not that popular of a reason.
Okay. Well, but it's so wow, because it's so hot right now in Israel, I suppose.
But that's the whole idea, because there is the theory that it dies in high temperatures or on sunlight.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what people do to protect themselves from coronavirus in your country?
Well, of course, there's the social distancing, have 2 meters apart. And of course, if when you meet someone, we have this whole thing, you don't handshake, you go with your elbows, you do the elbow handshake. So that's kind of funny. And also there's the thing that everybody is mandatory to wear masks, of course, so you don't spread the virus. So if you go outside without a mask, then you get a fine if someone catches you, unless you do a sports activity like running. Then you have the reason to not wear a mask. So that's logical. And also every public place, even the workplaces that still work, have this what's it called, the purple sign, which says how it's supposed to work. So each business that has this purple sign says you must wear a mask if you want to go inside the business. You need to keep distance from the shopkeeper and so on. And most business places have this alcohol moisture. So when you went inside, you squeeze the soap dispenser. So it's the alcohol dispenser.
Gel. Special alcohol gel, yes?
Yeah, alcohol gel.
Mm-hmm.
So most places have this, but public places like malls, shops, supermarkets, and of course, like in my workplace, they give us usable masks so we can go and work and be safe.
Mm-hmm. I see. What do you think about this period? Did this period change anything in people's mind, or maybe in your mind?
Well, it definitely changed a lot of things, because people who used to be a lot of outdoors are confined inside. So they are people that always like to go around, travel, go to the beaches, go to the gyms, now need to adapt to this kind of environment, which they are confined always. They maybe don't have much stuff at home, because there are not a lot of people who like stay at home, play video games or watch TV. There are more people, active people. So it's kind of hard to be like in this kind of time. Or other people which are people that afraid to be at home. Like there are some unfortunate statistics that people and kids who have very bad parents or violent parents, because they're always home, so they unfortunately suffer from parental abuse. So that's very unfortunate, because they can't go out, or the schools are closed, and scouts also can't meet. So it's pretty problematic.
Yeah, I see. We have the same problems in Russia. Yeah, a lot of divorces actually happened during this coronavirus.
Really?
Yes.
And also a lot of weddings. People wanted to go and get married. They can't. They can't hire a place to celebrate, and it's very problem, because all the owners of the wedding halls can't work.
Oh my God. Well, you see that a lot of things are changing right now. And is there anything that you want to change in society, or maybe in education, or in yourself?
Anything I want to change? Maybe think about, because it's something that we never expected to be in this kind of situation, where we can't be socializing physically, we can't see each other that much. Going to school is pretty risky, mostly for a lot of people, because not everyone has healthy backgrounds, has a strong immune system. And yeah, it's kind of hard. I think maybe they should learn from this experience to have this kind of understanding that if something like this happens, we know how to deal with it, both financially, both healthy. It's really hard to say, but things will change because everybody's hit by this kind of time.
Yes, time is changing and you should change too.
But there's something funny that someone from work told me that one day my grandkids will learn from this event in history class.
And you will tell them this story. 1 year there was a moment. Yeah, I see. Okay, so you know that we are from different countries, and since Taglit, I've been curious about Israel, about history, about customs. So maybe we can start talking about education. So can you tell me what kinds of schools do you have in Israel?
Yeah, of course. Well, because we're a very varied society of not just Jews, but we have Arabs, and in Arabs there is some sects like Christian Arabs, Muslim Arabs, Druze, and Kurds and Bedouins. There are a lot of varieties. So, and even in the Jewish community, there are of course the secular people like ordinary people who don't really practice ritual, and there's the religious sects. So they also need schools. So it's very varied. So let's start from the basic. We have, of course, the three types of schools: the elementary schools, the middle schools or junior highs, and high schools. Overall, people start from first class to 12th class. So 12 years.
Like in the USA.
Yes. It's very okay. It's okay. So most of the stuff from education we took from Americans and a little bit from Russia to see what succeeds best. So the schools themselves are mostly separate, but mainly there's elementary and middle school are together in the same area, in the same building or buildings, the same zone. But high schools are very separate. So after someone finishes junior high, they go to high school that they choose. Either there's some place which is very close or some place that's far, depends on them and depends on what type of high school they want to go. And when talking to the religious Jewish community, they go to Jewish religious schools, which has separation from boys and girls, because that's from their types of religion and that they believe in. And of course, it separates from boys and girls in each class, in each school. And if you go to Arab school, it's also separated from religious or non-religious, Christian, non-Christian, Jews and non-Jews. Everybody has their own schools. Everybody has their own education systems. Everybody has their own curriculum. So it's very varied education system we have here, because we have so many type of people, so many religions, and so many types of sects.
Oh my God. Actually, it's very interesting because, in Russia, children don't have this opportunity to choose subjects. We have special system. We study every year, and every grade have 30 or 20 subjects,
Interesting.
And the thing is, really, we don't choose anything. We can, learn German, English, French, Russian, maths, biology, geography, everything in the same time. And I don't know whether it's okay or not, actually, because everything, can disappear from your mind, from your brain.
Yeah, some stuff you think are not necessary.
Yes.
You just study, take a grade, and move on, and you forget it after a week.
Yes. So your study is more for children. They can choose what they like and what they don't, right?
We actually not until high school, because until high school everybody studies the same except those special schools for religious Jewish communities and Arabs. but most secular schools study math, physics, history, linguistics, literature, and of course physical education, and all those minor but necessary stuff. But of course, in a secular school, even in secular school, even if you're not Christian, but you're still secular, and you don't go to Christian school, you do go into Jewish school, you study Bible. There's a class that you study the Bible.
Oh my
Everybody.
God.
Yeah. And you study Bible from first class until 12th class. All the years you study the subject that's called the Bible.
But actually, it's interesting. You like, learn history of Bible. Why not?
There's history and there's the Bible. There's two types of histories. And by Bible, if you still know the difference, we talk about the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible, not the Christian New Testament.
Is there, the subject that's called religion, different religions, like Jewish, Judaism, Christianity? Is there anything like this in your schools?
In our schools, yes, you can learn. By Christianity, not so much, because it's not, it's kind of, Christianity is not really a subject that Jews need to learn or must learn, because the New Testament is not really kosher, as we say, because of Jesus and stuff. But Islam is a part of Arabic language school. If you go to a special high school where there's a subject in Arabic, you also learn the culture, you learn about the Quran. So that's kind of interesting, because it's a place where you can learn Arabic. It's the Quran. Of course, by Arabic, I mean the literate Arabic, that from the books, which is the most universal. Because if you know, Arabic is very different from country to country. There's Arabic Syrian, there's Lebanese Arabic. Everybody sounds very different, even though it's kind of the same language, but it's not. So that's one thing. So, and when you go to high schools, you can, depends on the high school, you can choose a subject that it has for you. Of course, it depends on your skills. If it's something that involves with like electrical engineering or electronics or aviation and mechanics, it depends on your level of math or physics and so on.
So as far as I'm concerned, you went to Israeli army after school, but I was curious whether you have any other option. Maybe you will have an opportunity to, not to go to army and go to your university. Is it so obligatory?
For Jewish or secular, and for even Christians and Jews, it's something that is a must. It's by law. So after you finish high school and you come of age of 18, you draft into the army. Except for those who are religious Jews, those who studied the Bible, the Torah, and the Talmud every day. Muslim Arabs are not mandated to enlist, so they get a pass. And of course, people who are sick, who have diseases, who are physically incapable or mentally incapable, they are allowed to not enlist. Of course, they won't enlist because they can't perform the tasks. But there's a few stuff, like if you have this kind of health problems or physical problems, there is a still possibility to you to enlist in the army for special professions, and you get special boot camps, or you can volunteer to a social or public governmental organization. Let's say you want to go and be with the police, or go to volunteer in hospitals, or go volunteer to the fire department. You can do that because you're able to do that. That's your choice. Or you can go to the university straight because you have this ticket free from the army. But there are also some kind of places to go. Let's say if you studied very well at school, you have very high grades, the army comes with you with a proposition. He lets you go to the university to study on some kind of a profession, let's say engineering. And he pays for all your tuition, which is very good, but you enlist in the army as an officer. You go for the officer's course and you serve for at least 7 years. So that's kind of the contract that you do. You get to go to the university, get a degree, all on the army's expenses, but you enlist as an officer and serve for 7 years. So that's a very good proposition. And the army gets someone who's educated as a profession and someone who can be there for at least a few years.
Okay, yes, no.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Or of course, the kind of school that I went to a vocational military school, which was sponsored by the Air Force. Yes. So my high school was being a cadet in a military school with an Air Force uniform from the age of 16 to 19, basically. So that kind of school is has the professions that needed in the Air Force. So it has either electronics or in electrical engineering, electricity, the aviation and mechanical aviation. So those are kind of professions that the Air Force needs, and like it brings the students in this kind of environment. So when they enlist, because it's sponsored by the Air Force, you will go to the Air Force in one of those professions. So it's kind of a pro. Let's say you went to a normal high school and you will be drafted to the army. You don't know exactly where you end up. You can be in the Navy, you can be in the infantry, and you can be in the Air Force, but it also depends on your physical and mental properties. If you studied well, if you're healthy, so that also depends on your quality to where you will be enlisted. But if you go to this kind of military school, you'll be exclusively in the Air Force in one of those professions that you studied on. Let's say you studied electronics, so you will be drafted to some kind of electronics profession, like in satellite and communications. Go work at the weather control in the military bases, where you monitor the air activity and the amount of pollution and the temperature, those kind of stuff. So it's very interesting to have that kind of possibility.
I see. Actually, it is. But is it dangerous to serve in the army?
Yes, but depends on where, because my kind of parents didn't want me to be exposed to those kind of risks. That's why they let me go to this military school, because the Air Force doesn't have quite a lot of dangerous jobs, because depends on the danger. Let's say a normal student who finishes normal high school will be drafted to the infantry if he's healthy and strong, and it will be in the front lines, basically. Or be someone who can go to those dangerous Arab villages, very dangerous places, and it will be exposed, or somewhere in the limits, or in somewhere in the very dangerous sects where there is the border between the Palestinian Authority and the Israel Authority. So when those borders, they need the army soldiers stand and protect. So most recently in the past years, there was those stabbing incidents. So it's kind of dangerous, because there was those threats of single terrorists go and act on this kind of national incentive.
I see. Okay, so in the beginning of our discussion, you told me about your education, but you didn't tell me about the university and college where you study. So can you tell me about these places? And well, do you live in dorms or in the house at home?
Okay, well, let's start with my education. Well, something interesting is I told you that I went to a military school. That school has a college. So after the 12th grade, I had the possibility to postpone my drafting and go and study for 2 years to my engineering degree. Again, sponsored by the army, and paid a lot, most of my tuition. So me and most of my classmates still kept going to school, to the same school. It was the same campus as the high school, so the environment really didn't change much. The teacher was almost the same, all of them. So it didn't really change. So also the answer, and if I lived in dorms, I lived at school. I always went from home to school every day. So it really didn't change.
Cool. Well, do you have any time to have fun, to have parties?
Parties, no. at least not physical, virtual. I can party here all day if you want, but I don't know if the neighbors will like it because I say hear someone screaming and loud music. But have fun now, yeah, because I'm the type of man that I enjoy my time with the computer or I have the video games. That's my hobby. So I do have a lot of opportunity, a lot of things I can do because unlike most people that I know that didn't went to work and are like me playing the computer, they're all the time in the computer, so they didn't really feel the quarantine. It's like I think the moment the quarantine will end, they'll just go inside. Yeah, what? Something happened? Yeah, I'll stay here. I'll stay here. Better here.
Yeah. You run the world right now. I see. So, okay. Well, concerning my education, well, when I was 17, I didn't have any, well, options. Actually, we don't have
Why?
this army. We have army for men, but not for women. But I had to go to the
You can't
university.
enlist?
What?
You're not allowed to enlist?
No.
Really?
Yes, really. Well, and I don't want to go to the army, actually. Well, but I had to go to the university, and the main thing was to study free of charge, as you see. I got this grant, and everything was fine. But the thing is, I didn't have much time to think about myself and my interests. And only now, when I am 21, I started thinking about these things. And this is so crazy. Well, can you tell me about your experience? How did you choose your way? Maybe somebody helped you to do it.
Actually, again, I think it's in the age that we went to high school, we didn't think about that, what we'll be doing in the future or how will we work. We just were young, we want to have fun, we didn't like to go to school, study. That's something that most kids in our age think about. But my parents were very intelligent and they knew what I needed to be and what I needed to do. So that's why they sent me to that military school to get a profession, which I did, which is one of the reasons that I work. But I think people like you, which are not from Israel, from high school, they straight go to the university or college. And most of them really don't know what to study. They just go there because they want to enjoy the young life, go to some classes, work some part-time, that's it. But most people in Israel go to the army and they stop for free, almost close to now 2.5 years. For girls, it's 2 years to serve in the military in different profession, different squads, different places. So these 2 years allows them the opportunity to study themselves, to grow up, to find something they found interesting, or also they put you in some kind of jobs and some kind of places that you have to grow up. You have to mature much quicker and earlier because it's something that requires of you. Because let's say you're somewhere in the front lines or somewhere fixing a boat in the Navy, and you know that if you don't do this job, people will be in danger or will be suffering. So you need to take your
Responsibility.
responsibility, your head out of the gutter. You know where you are. You're not living your life, because when you enlist to the army, you're actually the property of the army. So you know your life is not your own, and you live with people, and you look around, and you need to know that the people around you will be the same, almost same people that you live with 2 years, 3 years. So there's some kind of bonding, and there is something that you said that in the most of the time in the army, the people that you get to know there are your friends for life, because you went with them through all of the bad stuff, all of the good stuff. So I think going to the military in that part really matures you, and really, and also there's also some people that are not normal people, not come from normal families, people that come from broken families, people who are troubled youth, and the army kind of shapes them to be a very normal and a productive man of society. So I think that's also a great pro for people who draft into the army, that really helps people find their way in life.
Mm. Mm. It's like an advertisement of army.
Yeah, Yeah, because I served in the army, but I think it's really mostly good stuff.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay, so you told me about army and education. So let's talk about jobs. Okay.
Jobs. Okay.
So you told me about your job, but I'm interested. Is it difficult to find a job for Israelis?
Uh, Before the quarantine, of course, the amount of the percentage of unemployment was really low. Like 4 to 6% are unemployed. So most of the society is employed, which this number doesn't include the people who are religious, which don't work because they have their subsidiaries from the country. But we'll focus on the normal people who work. Uh, it's really not difficult to find a job because people, it's really incentive. Most of the people go and get educated, go to universities, go to college, get a profession, do something with their life because they know they want to buy stuff. They want to work. They want to have a travel around the world. They want to buy pretty things. They want to enjoy life. So finding a job in Israel is not very difficult. The minimal wage is pretty good. So I don't think anyone will have difficulty to find a job in here.
Hmm. What can you say about new repatriates? I mean, like me, people like me who don't know Hebrew, but they can speak English. Can they
Well,
find a job?
yes, you can. And if you do this kind of thing, people want to either repatriate or just go and be in the Masa or student exchange program. There is, of course, the possibility of free of charge. It's called Ulpan. Maybe you've heard of it. It is
Yeah.
a place where you go and study Hebrew, how to talk, how to speak. And it's also the best opportunity because if you know English very good, you can be like my aunt, which she lived in America, and she did the same masa. She went and became a teacher who taught English to Jewish and Hebrew schools. So she also studied and helped with the English study for students, local Israeli students. But also she knew and learned how to speak Hebrew because that's the whole thing. You live here for a few months, maybe a few years, and you get the language, you understand the language more because you're always around it, you speak it, you try to read stuff, you listen to the music, you listen to the movies, you listen to the series, to the news. It's really good. So if you have a good profession, which you know English, which is at least the minimum, you can really find a good job.
Okay, I see. I have a choice. It's
You
great.
always have a choice. You always have a choice. And you always have people that you can count on and that come for your help, me or your other friends that you know in Israel that can be here and help you to get accustomed to be acclaimed to this environment, to know how to do stuff, where to go, what to buy, how to say.
Mm. It's great to have friends from different country. Okay, so can you tell me what's your favorite city in Israel?
Well, I think it's kind of obvious. Our main city is in the tourist attraction, Tel Aviv, which is called the city that never sleeps, which is the cultural highlight, the culinary highlight, the beaches, the amazing pubs, clubs, and restaurants, the culture center. I think it's the city really that everybody loves and enjoys because it's mostly young people, young population, and you have a choice where to go, where to spend your evening, what to do. You want to go bowling, you want to go play billiards, you want to go to an escape room if you know what it is, which is a very fun activity.
Mm, a lot of opportunities
Yes,
to have
yes.
fun in the
Never a
ocean.
dull moment.
Yes, I see. It's cool. Hmm. Okay, I told you about it, but maybe I will repeat. I don't know what program to choose, and that's why I asked you about the city because you have a lot of cities in Israel. Haifa, Tel Aviv, well, Bat Yam, Beersheba. I know
Jerusalem.
a lot. I know a lot. Well, so that's why I asked you. Okay, so I
Mhm.
see. Maybe I will go to Tel Aviv. Maybe this will be my choice.
Maybe, but also depends if you're program gives you an apartment, so that's good. But if you have to find your own, that's a different issue, because in Tel Aviv, apartments and houses are very, very, very expensive. Like on average, a good apartment, not a really shitty one, someplace really okay, not the highest, but that you can go around. It's not a broken down. Its price is close to it's $2,000 almost.
Oh.
Yes, but okay, apartment is like $1,000, which is 2 free rooms, mainly on average 2 rooms. So most people don't rent apartments in Tel Aviv, or not really in the center. It's like in the suburbs of Tel Aviv, like Bat Yam or Givatayim or Ramat Gan, or a little to the south, because the housing is more cheaper, the buildings are newer and much more better built and such. But a lot of students, to save money, that want to live in Tel Aviv, share. That's the best idea. Each one gets a room. Each one shares half of the rent, so it's cool. But it depends on your program. It depends on your plans. It depends on where you want to live, where you want to work, when you want to get your ulpan. Depends on many things. So when you gather all this information, ask the right questions, and maybe you'll find someplace suitable.
Is it expensive to live in Israel? Can you tell me?
Yes, very.
Oh.
Even with our high quality of life and our good workplaces and good payment, most of the problems is because of where we live in geography, because of the geopolitics, as it was saying, with our very friendly neighbors. So most of the budget that goes from the taxes goes to the security budget, which is the military and development of defensive and information weapons. So we can live peacefully, relatively, because if you would see all of the Middle East, it's not very stable or very quiet, most of it, except us and a few countries in the Gulf. So a lot of the taxes go to the army, go to the police, go to the places that really need it, because most of the places don't need the army much. Like Switzerland, they don't spend a lot on the army. They spend a lot on the new roads, new
roads, yes.
new roads.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so not a lot of money goes to the public as much, and more to the security because of reasons. So yeah, it's kind of pricey to live here. The food, the housing, and a lot more stuff. But it's a place with the highest life expectancy in the world. So it might have something, because people here live longer, and they have this happiness meter. You can see the OECD, the life expectancy, the high happiness meter in our country is one of the highest.
And medicine is the best.
And medicine. And it's affordable, and it's good.
Yes. Oh my God, this is a real advertisement for Israel.
Yeah, but we have problems with our locals. It's not very nice. And there is, of course, diversity, and there's this separation from religious and non-religious. There's also the conflicts, not as bad as in the United States, but we have our difficulties. But I think people get along. There is a place that we can live together.
I see. Can you tell me, are there any, things that annoy you in Israel and that you really like, that you adore practically?
Well, something of the Israeli, it's called characteristics, is we always in a rush, always we want to be first, always less patience. Like, for example, if you have a line in the supermarket, if someone wants very bad to be out of the fast, he'll cut the line. He won't give anyone any time of day, especially when you, I don't know, someone rush. No, I'm here first. No. There's always this argument, because everybody always in a time problem. Everyone always needs to go somewhere, so they're not very patient or calm people. very, very like hot people. And also in the streets and in the roads, when I drive my car and I drive the speed limit, someone always rushes and cuts me off because I drive slowly or by law, but it's not fast enough because they're always in a hurry. It's very, very interesting to be a driver in Israel. It's very difficult.
So I don't drive, and I will not know this. Maybe
Yeah, so
one
that's
day.
okay. So that's the cons of the people here in the culture. The pro is I think because the most thing that I can say is that we're like a warm family. We're very close to each other because one of the reasons is most of us, if not all of us, served in the army. So everybody went through that course, went through that life experience. So everybody is like a comrade. Everybody lived and done the stuff that we do. So we all feel for each other. We care for each other. If something happens, let's say to our soldiers, everybody really rushes to help them because they're like everyone's children, everyone's kids, because either they serve or their children serve, the grandkids serve. So this thing of it's called the pride of the squad, as we call it in Hebrew.
It runs
So
in your
it's something.
family. This phrase
Yeah.
that runs in your family, yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's also a funny moment, especially when you like go to a vacation. Let's say you're in Prague and you go there, and you and your friends, and then you hear someone speak Hebrew, and you like check them out. Oh, in Israel, and it's like you didn't see your best friend or someone from your family, and say, "Hey, how are you doing? Let's see you. Where are you? You came into the vacation. Let's go together. Let's drink." It's like you're the best friends from that moment when you meet someone from Israel in another country. That's the best, most funny thing to see. Yeah.
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about holidays. What Israeli holidays do you like?
Well, there are mainly two. One of them is Purim, which is like our own Halloween, but it's not
like
really Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah, but it's different reasons. One is Christian, and Purim is based on the Jewish Persian events that happen in Persia, where we the thing is anecdote with Jewish holidays with it, something we almost died in each time. Always something happened to us. That's how we celebrate it. Almost dying.
Let's
Once were the
celebrate.
Persians, the next were the Egyptians, the next were the Greeks. Everybody had some fun. So yeah, Purim is people dress up and get costumes and parade and enjoy themselves and having a ball and also there's a mandatory commitment on this holiday to get intoxicated. It's by law, you must drink. So it's really fun because
By
you
law.
get by law, Jewish law to get intoxicated. So yeah, because the thing is, in what happened in Persia, being intoxicated, it like means where people you don't understand because you're always confused when you're intoxicated. You don't confuse from one time you're safe and from another time you're not safe because of what happened. Because someone Jews in Persia lived happily. And one single day, everything happened because on the other day they wanted to be executed, every Jewish person. So that intoxication reflects the way that the mood shifts because one time you're safe and the another you're not. So that's the whole premise of Purim.
I see. And another holiday?
Is maybe is Hanukkah.
Yes, donuts. Yes, you eat donuts.
Sufganiot. It's not donut. Donut has hole in it.
I'm sorry.
But close. It's the same premise, where we light the menorah each day for 8 days, which symbol the oil pot that was a miracle after the Greeks destroyed and desecrated the second temple. The only pot that's left, which should lasted only 1 day, lasted for 8 days to light the menorah. So for the instance that miracle happened, we for 8 days we light the candle and eat oily goodness, which is the sufganiot, the latkes, and all this very fattening and very high cholesterol food.
Yeah. Well, I see. Okay. I know that you can speak 3 languages: Russian, Hebrew, and English. I'm jealous. How can you do this? Can you tell me, where did you study these languages? Where did you study English and Russian?
Well, it's kind of interesting because my parents are immigrants from another country. They also needed to learn the language because they needed to live here. So they knew Russian, and they came here and studied Hebrew. They went to the Ulpan, they worked and studied. So they went to the army. So they got Hebrew very fast because they were pretty much young. And that's the thing, to be around and being influenced and being exposed to a lot of languages in an early age helps you absorb it and learn it faster. So at home, I had my parents or grandparents speak Russian. So I knew Russian because we talked, it spoke, and also I saw a lot of cartoons. They all showed me all the Soviet cartoons and movies. I think all of them are very lovely and very important.
Ну,
And
погоди!
Yes, ну погоди, Простоквашино, Капитан Врунгель. I think all of the Soviet cartoons and Russian cartoons are very eternal. Like they never stop because they're always so lovely. There's something about it. Also, I found them all. I got them all because I want, when one day I have kids, I want to show them because I think they have very lot of meaning and they were very good done. And so Russian I got from my parents, and Hebrew, of course, because it's the national language. So I had to learn Hebrew because I went to a kindergarten. I went to elementary school, so I needed to speak the language. So naturally, I spoke the language and knew the language because I went to school here. So I was influenced both by Russian from home and Hebrew from my school and from my classmates and the country because everything was in Hebrew. So that's 2 languages. And English, I learned from playing video games. So when I was 3 years old, my mom got me a PlayStation console when I was 3 years old. So I played games from when I was 3. So when you play games, especially when you don't know the language, you always listen to what they say and see what they do, so you can understand. So what's it's all about. So that's where you start. So
you catch
I
the
played all those
emotions, you catch the doing things and understand.
Yes. So you interpret what they say and what they do. So it's pretty easy. So the video games really helped me to understand the language. That's why I have a very large vocabulary of words. I knew how to speak, how words needed to be sound, how to pronounce them, ifs, wheres, all the pronouns, everything. I'm really thankful that I had that kind of experience to play video games, which I still do because it's my hobby and it's like my life passion. So it's really helped my life more than a lot, both from helping with the English language and more than allowed me to be entertained, give me a very vast imagination because I was influenced and exposed to such stories, to such characters, such things that they gave me. So I really appreciate it.
So video games are useful for you and for English.
Yeah.
So funny,
and today,
actually.
Yeah, and today it's actually today became a business that people today can play games and earn a lot of money just from playing games and having a camera.
Okay. So I found out that since 2015, you've been taking part in Tagli. It's very
Correct.
curious, actually. And how did it happen? Why did you study?
First of all, I got the notion of it when I was in the military. There was a program, Taglit, which is, the thing is, when you go to the group of immigrant students from different countries, which have either Jewish or have Jewish roots, and go travel with them around the country and be with them, which is a good way to kind of get a free vacation from the army. That's one reason. The second, to be as a voice or be as someone that can give them information from what it's like to be an Israeli, what it's like to serve in the army,
From inside.
Yes, to be a true someone that gives them the real deal, because whatever they heard, whatever they saw, whatever they got information from news networks, from influencers, most of the time I think it's either fake news or it's something that they really don't understand what life is like here and what's reality and how we live and why we do what we do. So it's something to be able to give them the real side of our story and how it's like, and give them the perspective so they can go back home and say, no, they do that because that. So because people say all that stuff, that's lies, or they don't understand what it's like to be here.
So you wanted to help them, to help me.
Yeah, mostly because I think it's very passionate, because I consider myself a patriot and a Zionist, but people always interpret Zionist as someone who wants to control the world. I don't know, I think it's that kind of anti-Semitic thing. But people don't understand that being a Zionist is something to help the country and prosper our country and make it better and be able to live in peacefully. That's the whole idea. Being someone who loves the country and helps it. So every time they see people from around the world, some people who don't live here, don't understand the language, the geography, the culture around you, they all give the wrong premise or say the wrong stuff because they're ignorant of the things that go around. So I want to at least give my voice or give my opinion, which is, I think, the truth of the reality we live
in. I see. And it's really cool that you love your country. Okay, so I saw that you've been to Germany. Do you want to live in Germany, or maybe do you want to move to this country?
Well, I'll ask you, based on what you already know, what I told you, what would be the answer that I would give based on our conversation?
Well, I don't know, actually.
Well, obviously is no. I don't want to move there. But
because
I visit there
because you love Israel. Okay, I see.
Yes. Being told that a patriot, but I go, oh, fuck Israel, I'm going to Germany. I go eat the schnitzel and the beer is good.
Okay.
Good soccer. We have good soccer there. Israeli soccer is shit. The true story. Unfortunately. But I went to Germany because of the video game convention, the biggest in the world, which is named Gamescom. It's in the city called Cologne, Okel, if I pronounce it right. It's happened every summer until this year because you can't have conventions and can't have gatherings, which is unfortunate. And it's been already a tradition. Me and my colleagues and friends went there from 2016. Each year we went there to be a part of this exhibition, to this event, which celebrates all that is gaming, all that's video games, all that being nerds and geeks, and just enjoying ourselves and being so many companies, so many people gathered there and just having a lot of fun, because it's really an experience. It's something that you can't really fathom how big that place is and how many people there are, because until last year, the average amount of people were there was like 300,000 people, visitors in total, over 4 days. It's such a ginormous place. If you want, I can send you a picture of the lines of the amount of crowd, which is so crazy, because it really shows how this kind of industry, this kind of world, it's called video games and gaming, really came to be. It's really something phenomenal. It's really an event to be.
Yes, and you can find new friends. Why not? This is with this
friends, colleagues. Yes, that it's the thing that's like it's like they say about music. This connects people from different cultures. The same here. We can talk with people from France, people from Spain, people from Japan, people from China. We all center around this thing called gaming, something we have in common, which no religion, no politics, no gender, everything doesn't really mean anything, because
we can talk to them because you have the same interests, and this is great. Yeah. So I see. that you don't want to move to Germany. But I think that you like, as most Israelis, to go abroad, to travel. So the
Yes.
last question that I want to ask you is about traveling. So when the borders are open, where do you go?
Uh, Unfortunately, really right before the quarantine happened, I was supposed to go to the United States of America, to California, to
Oh,
meet with my relatives. I have a lot of relatives there,
in
which I have.
California, you are a lucky
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I have in other places, but mainly California. They're my biggest family there. So yeah, I haven't seen them in around 11 years since the last time that I've been there. So I really wanted to go with my grandfather to see my great grandmother. May she be healthy until 120. She's very old, and I haven't seen her a lot. And I unfortunately couldn't fly now because of the time. But I would really like to go there first because I want to see everyone that I didn't see. New, everybody got married, lots of kids, lot of nieces, nephews. So it would be very, very good if I could go there as soon as possible when it's safe.
Yes, I see. So thank you very much for answering
Thank
me.
you.
It was a real pleasure to talk to you.
Always, as always, and thank you very much. It was very interesting. I hope I helped you and I broaden your information and your horizons.
Oh, yes, you really helped me. So goodbye.
Goodbye. Shabbat shalom, as they said.
Shabbat shalom.